You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
We're standing outside Winterton House, a 24-story tower block adorned with an interlacing steel crown and a facade in brick. The tower block was and remains council housing and was one of 4 social housing blocks designed by the Greater London Council Architects Department in the mid-1960s, 2 of which became subsequently embroiled with the most notable gerrymandering scandal to occur under Margaret Thatcher's premiership. In 2018, a play about a social housing scandal was staged in North Kensington. The play, Shirleymander by Gregory Evans, told the story of Westminster City Council in the 1980s, when the Conservative council leader Shirley Porter was found to have deliberately changed the makeup of marginal wards in order to increase her chances of getting re-elected. Of his decision to stage a revival in that borough at that moment, Evans has said, "When I arrived at Latimer Road tube station, a short walk from the theatre, I smelled the tainted air, saw the blackened husk of Grenfell Tower, and knew immediately that it would be the right play in the right place." This dramatic interpretation of corruption in Westminster City Council in the 1980s had followed growing clamours for justice, an issue from the Labour Party. In 2001, an early day motion was tabled in the House of Commons, signed by 79 signatories, including Dennis Skinner and Diane Abbott, demanding that this House welcomes the findings in the House of Lords that Dame Shirley Porter stands convicted of political corruption as a consequence of Westminster City Council's Home for Votes gerrymandering policy, which rigged the 1990 council election in favour of the Conservative Party. The motion also demanded that Dame Shirley Porter immediately pays back the £27 million plus interest she has been found to owe the people of Westminster. 3 years later, Porter did have to pay back £12.3 million after her policies were judged to have forced homeless families to substandard housing in order to manipulate the borough's voting demographic. By substandard housing, the prosecutors meant 2 22-story blocks of flats, Chancery Point and Hermes Point, built in 1967 in the Elvin Estate in North Paddington. Press reports published at the time of the Homes for Votes scandal referred to them as asbestos-ridden, but they continued to be used to house the borough's most destitute residents. The 2 buildings have been clad using the same construction method, the SF1 cladding system or the Indulux cladding system, whereby a steel frame was enclosed with prefabricated panels made of fiberglass. The 2 other buildings that were made using that method, also designed by the Greater London Council Architects Department in the mid-1960s, were located at Watney Market in the London borough of Tower Hamlets. Winterton House is the only one of those 2 which is still standing, having undergone substantial refurbishment in the 1990s, recladding the building's plastic facade in load-bearing brick. Accruing new details since the 1980s, the myth of Shirley Porter lingers around the edges of the British psyche and has been revived at moments of national scandals, such as in 2009 when the MP's expenses scandal came to light and the financial crisis broke, and most recently when tragic news of the Grenfell Tower disaster emerged, causing the public to associate plastic cladding with the false economies of extreme cost-cutting and declining state investment over the last 50 years. In the case of the 4 tower blocks, the homes constructed using a still experimental plastics building technology failed to live up to the expectations that the designers had for them, and it strikes me as highly reasonable that they were demolished and in one case substantially refurbished.